Hi, everyone. Thank you for whoever was in the waiting room for your patience. We're just going to wait a couple more minutes so that people can start joining, and then we'll get to the webinar right away. Thank you. Just going to wait like one more minute, and then we'll start. Okay, I guess we're a good number. Okay, cool. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for yet another webinar. And today we're going to be talking about customizing Codio Coach, where you can build your own tailored AI assistants, whether it's for yourselves or for your learners. You can customize it, you can tweak things, or you can write from scratch. And we're going to look into how exactly that happens. Before we begin, just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Mohit Chandarana, and I am the data science and AI specialist here at Codio. Um, my like the other part of my role is beyond data science and AI, so researching and prototyping any new technology or any new data-driven metric, feature, learning analytics, anything that our amazing CS education research community comes up with and writes papers about is something that I read and see how we can take that excellent research and bring that into the product at the fingertips of instructors so that they can use it in the classroom. So I just wanted to give a quick recap of all the AI based tools that instructors have access to when you have Codio. So the first thing I want to talk about is our AI-assisted authoring tools. They're split into two things. We have the content draft generation, where you can give simple instructions and have interactive pages of content drafted, whether it's missing content, whether you want to write something about a new topic that was released just last week, or whether it's just keeping your curriculum fresh. You can do that with content draft generation. And the other is assessment generation, as we can see in this GIF here, where you get the context of the page is automatically fed to the LLM, and you can have formative as well as summative assessments. You can have fill in the blanks, multiple choice, Parsons problems, and as of last week, input-output code tests. And we're also working on adding advanced unit tests to this as well. So stay tuned for that. But not only can you add new assessments, you can also refresh existing assessments to make sure that each cohort just gets a new question, and you can leave your worries behind of like answer sharing or other problems. The other half of our AI toolkit is Codio Coach. This is the AI-driven learning assistant that you can enable for any of your courses. This gets enabled at the assignment level and has 3 different assistants that are ready to use. One of them is summarizing assignments. The other is explaining error messages. And the third one is Socratic style next step hints without giving away answers. Let's take a quick peek of this in action. And I'm just gonna open it in a course. So let's say you have a Java course and you want your students in Java, like in this course, to have Codio Coach for this coding exercise or maybe this lab. So all you need to do is click on this assignment, go to settings, and scroll all the way down to virtual coach. And you can enable these individually or all 3 together. And because this is assignment level, you can make sure that your exam assignments or your quiz assignments or um, places where you do not want students to have access to these assistants, you can disable them right there. You can also do it in bulk and enable it for the entire course or maybe half the course with bulk settings, but we'll get into that later. So now let's look at what this would be in the student view. So I'm just going to go to students and log in as a test student to give you a quick student view of what Codio Coach looks like. Let's see, and we enable it for the lab, so we're going to get into the lab. Also, my colleagues here are in this webinar as well. So if at any point you have any questions, please throw them in, and we will also do a small Q&A in the end. So if your question doesn't get answered during the webinar, it will definitely get answered at the end of it. So since we enabled it for this assignment, we have this Codio Coach button pop up on the bottom right. We can click it, and we'll have these assistants available for the student. You can just click it. The prompts and guidelines are configured for the button, so there's no open text field for questions on this one. But we can talk about what if you want that. And let's say if you have an error message, let's say I just missed this curly brace and I click try it to run the code and it says there's a problem. I can just click this tooltip. It automatically pastes the error message encountered. And there you go. You get a simple 2 to 3 line error message. And as you can see, it says, oh, this could be one of the possible reasons is the placement of curly braces in your code. So it's pretty good at identifying what might be the issue and guide students towards finding issues rather than just giving them solutions. So this was a quick look at Codio Coach. Now, the question is, these are good, but can we do something else or maybe something more? Let's say I like the customer explanation thing, but I actually want my students to have code snippets. So can we tweak existing assistants? Another question we've gotten in the past is, oh, I actually want something like ChatGPT where students can ask questions about our course and the LLM answers. Can we have something like that? Or, oh, I actually want some AI help in writing curriculum, but I have my own style and I want my own prompt behind it. So can I create a personal assistant for myself as an instructor? The answer is yes to all three. And this is where our Coach extensibility feature comes in. With the Coach API, you can build new learner as well as instructor-facing assistants. You can tweak the existing learner-facing coach assistants for any behavior you want, whether it is to add like a text field for open questions, whether it is to change or make the guidelines that the LLM follows to respond like stricter or looser, basically giving you full control over the workflow of the assistant as well as the prompts that go behind it. And how does it work exactly? In order to have full control, it was important to make sure that each element is configurable. So basically how it would work is you would start with a template or an example from a GitHub repo. And we have these examples set up there, and I'll walk you right through them. You either take the example as is, plug and play, and add it to your organization, or you can go to edit mode, you can author your own, you can edit the script, you can test it as you go with our development mode feature. And then once you're happy with it, you can publish it and add it to your organization, and it will show up like any other assistant right under the virtual coach settings for each assignment as your custom one. Now let's quickly just get into it and do it. We'll just do an example of this hands-on. So first, I'm going to show you where you can see these examples that I'm talking about. So all you have to do is go to github.com/Codio extensions, and that brings you to our set of repositories that we have for examples, templates, and anything that we build will show up here for you to use, plug and play. This is also something you can use to draw inspiration if you have an idea of something that you want to do yourself. So I'm going to quickly walk through the steps of how to take an existing example and literally just plug it into my organization and have it ready for my students. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the answering questions about your course. And one of the examples I've built here is the multi-turn chat GPT style conversational assistant. There's a README here that gives you a little description of what this assistant does, and also a note that it doesn't cover our scenarios. It's just meant to be an example. But this should get you started in the direction, and you can keep adding more things and tailor it to your course as you go. So let's see. I'm just going to go into the index.javascript file. And yes, these extensions are in JavaScript. Yes, JavaScript is hard, which is why we're here. We will help you author. We will help you prototype any idea you have, and we'll help you get started if you need it. So let's say I read this, I like the prompt, everything is good. I kind of just want to use this in my course as is and not worry about it. So all I got to do is take this URL, copy it. And like we said, this is for the Intro to Python course. And I don't want to edit the prompt. So I'm just going to go back to our dashboard and find my Python course that I want this assistant in. Oh, we're still logged in as the test student. So we're going to go back to the teacher's account. And again, while I do all this clicking, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. We're going to go to our courses. I'm going to find the Python course. Okay, this is where I want it. Now, if you want your assistants available like other coach assistants, they have to be added at the org level and not the user level. So we're going to go to my profile. I'm going to click on organizations, and I want to add it to this organization. And as soon as you enter the organization menu, you should see extensions right here. And this is where you can add any extensions. And again, these extensions, by the way, are not limited to just Coach. If you have something that you want, something like in JavaScript that you want to add as an extension, like people have VS Code extensions, you can do that right here as well. I'm just going to click on Add Extension, and I'm going to paste the URL we added here. Click on Add, and there it is. It's available for me. I'm just going to click Use so that it activates it. And now I can go back to my Python course and look at any assignment. So let's say coding exercises. And like I said, in settings, it's going to be available as an assistant that you can enable at the assignment level. Now, let's actually see this in action. Let's look at a topic. So I'm going to look at if statements. I'm going to enable the custom assistant for if statements. And then let's just preview it. Let's see. So because we haven't enabled all the other three, this should be the only one there. And say we're here. If statement syntax. Oh, there it is. I have a question. And it gives the open text field for students to type in their questions. Can you give me an example of how to use if-else statements? And this will become, again, it applies with the explanation, the syntax, and everything. But let's say I want to get a little tricky here, and I'm going to be like, if we scroll down, there's usually a question at the end of every page in our trajectory content. And let's say I'm like, I need help with answering the question on this page. Here it is. And let's see if I can just try and copy this and what happens. You all know students are going to get tricky with things, right? But because we've set up the guidelines, it says, oh, I can't provide direct answers or solutions to assignment questions. However, I can offer some general guidance on the topic of its statements. So this all comes from the system prompt and the guidelines we set for these assistants, and we can make them as strict or as loose as you want them to be, and we can even change the verbosity of it. So if you do not want a giant explanation coming here, and if you want the LLM to respond in just 3 to 4 sentences, that's all you need to add in the prompt. Just respond in 3 to 4 sentences, and it sticks to that guideline. So this is the example of how to take an available custom assistant and just plug and play and add a new one for your students. Now, let's say we saw the coach error explanation one, and let's say you want to build something yourself and author it from scratch, and you want something very simple, very bare bones, but you want it to actually give possible fixes and not just tell students where the error is. And let's try and author one from scratch. Let's see. So I'm just gonna go back to our Codio extensions GitHub. Actually, before I start this, are there any questions I can answer? Um, any feedback? If not, I'll keep continuing. Right. Okay, we can just save the questions for the end. All right. So if you want to start building your own custom extension from scratch, I recommend going to the template repo. So I'm going to find the Coach Custom Assistant template simple. And again, all these steps that I took today and all these steps that I'm going to take for these other example, they're all in our documentation on docs.codio.com. Every single step, whether it's using, customizing, writing from scratch, all these steps are documented here. And our excellent support team will answer any questions or any confusion you have will be cleared if you just reach out to us if you get stuck anywhere. Um, Literally every single step that I do today and everything else that you could do is all documented, and you can go and refer it when you start working on your own. So back to using our template repo to create a simple custom extension that explains error messages. I'm just going to click on use this template, create a new repository, and you just want to make sure that the template is selected correctly. It's all good. At this point, we choose an owner for this repository that we're creating. And because I want everyone to have access to it after this webinar, I'm just going to add it back to Codio extensions. I'm going to name it simple error explanation with possible fixes. And I'm going to be public, so it'll be accessible to y'all. And then I could create a repository. Now, this is going to take the boilerplate code we have for this extension right here. And you're going to be able to just poke this repo and work in it. Now, there's two ways you can edit the code in this. You can either just keep on working in GitHub or do something that I really like doing is turning this into a Codio project. And this is where you can actually use the testing feature and test your extensions and assistants as you go down. So I'm just going to take this, copy this SSH URL. I'm going to go back to my Codio dashboard. I'm going to click on my projects, click on new project. I'm going to import from GitHub. And the stack doesn't matter in this because we're not going to run anything in here. And I'm just going to paste the repository, I'm going to add the name, and I'm going to create. I really like working inside an IDE, so this just makes it easier for me. And again, because you can actually use the testing feature with it, this is also something I highly recommend. And it is also documented in the docs page, so you can go and refer to it as well. So this is our index file. And like I said, this is the boilerplate code we have for the simple assistant, where we have these elements right here. The API documentation also exists on the doc page, and this is what the API documentation will look like when you access it from there. So any method, any parameter that you have access to has everything, all the information about it on this page, along with some descriptions on how it does. And again, at any point, if you feel there's some confusion or if you have any questions about even the API, please reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to help you out. All right, so I'm going to go back to this. Okay, so the first thing in building or authoring your own custom assistant is changing the prompts. And I've just written some, so it's easy for me to copy paste and no one has to see me struggle typing. So I'm just going to replace the system prompt variable with what I've written here. And it says, oh, you're a helpful assistant, helping students understand programming error messages. And again, this all comes from Anthropic's guide on system prompts, where you assign it a role, you assign it a task, and you provide guidelines in the system prompt, and it is able to consistently stay in that scope and stick to the task. So the one thing that we wanted to do here is provide possible fixes and solutions. So this is what we've done differently here on this line. So not only do we want it to explain what's causing the error, but provide possible fixes and solutions as code snippets in Markdown format. Let's say as of now, we just want that and we don't want them to have any information about misconceptions. So we can just remove it for now. And we're just specifying that this is the code snippet Markdown format we want. The next thing to do is give our assistant a unique button name. So I'm going to make this simple error explanation. So this is my ID, and I'm going to make this explain this error message, please. And we have that ready to go. Now, the third thing is we want students to be able to paste that error message in here. So we want the input field or the input component done. And that's the next line I'm going to copy. So let's say we want to do it in here. There we go. Y'all must be curious about the context here, right? So what does the get context method do? So as you see in the comments, it returns this object. So you're going to get the guide page that is open currently. You can see the file that is open currently. And you can even see if there's any error message that has been reported. If students have tried to run their code, and if they have an existing error message, you'll be able to get that here as well. But the important thing is we can actually add the context of where the student is as part of the API request that we send to the LLMs. Because time and again, research has shown that the more context you give it, the more consistent it is in responding to the task that you want it to do. So the more information we give it, the better. So we have our input here, and we're just going to make this const input. So at this point, we have the open guide page, we have the open student code file, we have the error message that they have pasted, and now we just want a prompt. So all of this information has to be added to the API request. So we're just going to update the user prompt field, and just gonna again copy paste this and walk that through. So again, what we're doing here is here's the error message. So we're providing the error message that the student has pasted. Here's the description of the programming assignment the student is working on. So from the context that we fetched, we're providing the open guide page. And from the context that we fetched, we're providing the open code file that they might have. And again, we're saying, oh, if they're empty, assume that they're not available. So we don't want this to be a blocker, but if it is available, send it. If it's not available, it's fine. You should still try and describe the error. So I'm just gonna should only describe the cause of the error, and then provide possible fixes and solutions. So this is another concept in prompt engineering called I think it's called positive reinforcement, where you double down on what you want it to do. There's also something called negative reinforcement, where you double down and ask it what you don't want it to do. But for now, we can just stick to this. These things are pretty much set, so we're creating the messages object for the API request, so that is fine. Our system prompt variable is already here, that is also good. And I think that is about it. I think our custom assistant is good to go. So let's see. Now, if I actually want to test this before I deploy it in my organization, here's the steps you can follow. So you need to click this preview static and find this URL here. And this is what will help you test it before deploying it anywhere. I'm going to go back and open another tab. And I'm going to go to testing mode. All right. So I'm going to go here. You click on extensions, and that should bring you development mode here. So this is where we paste the URL that we found. And we also copy paste our metadata.json. So this file gives our extension information on which user should it be visible to and where in the platform we want it to be visible at. So right now we're going to set this to all. custom assistant error example, and run with it, save changes. Now, anything in my account, even projects, should have this visible, but it won't be visible to any of my courses, any of my students. Only I can see it as of now. So I'm gonna go open another tab. Codio. And I'm not. So I'm gonna open, let's say, the Python course again. Why not? And let's try and look at one of these assignments. And because I have put it in test mode, it will be available in every single assignment. But only I can see it, so you don't have to worry. Okay. So you can see we have the button here, and explain this error message, please. So I'm gonna go and see if there's another file. Okay, let's copy paste this. Let's make a state, and let's go try it. All right. So we have an error message. So I'm gonna open, explain this error message, please, and I will copy paste this here. Like I said, we wanted the error explanation and we wanted possible fixes. So there you go. You have your custom error explanation assistant that behaves the way you want and provides possible fixes and solutions. It says add the missing closing parentheses. You can then print multiple items, make sure they are separated. And it also gives a best practice at the end. Some extra information. Again, if you see that there's something else you wanted to do and you want to test it right away, you can change things right here. So let's say, I want to actually have this reply and explain error messages in a different language. So explain the error message in Spanish. I'm going to add it in the system prompt. And because we've added things to our test mode, all I have to do is refresh this page and try to run the assistant again. And we should output the same error message. And there you go. Now we have a Spanish error explanation system. Again, the possibilities with this are endless. You can customize it the way you want, customize it at the verbosity you want it, and even control the workflow in any way you want to. That's a simple way to create your own, author your own custom assistant. Again, this is again the learner facing one, so for your students. The third example I wanted to show you, and again, I'm going to be very quick with this, is what if I want something that helps me author curriculum, but a personal assistant, something that is visible only to me and not to students or anyone else. And again, we can walk through and do the same steps, and we can create a custom content draft generation assistant. Let's see. So, okay, I'm going to go back to our template repo. Template simple, and we're going to do the same steps we did. You know, on use template, we've a new repo, and again, add it to Codio extensions. So this is going to be available to you all after the webinar, and you can try it yourselves. Simple content graph gen example. And it's public. Now, just to make things easier, I'm just going to add an edited in file in here. I'm just going to click index.json and click edit. And let's see where my, there you go. So that's my system prompt. So here we're saying you're a helpful assistant, helping write educational content for novice learners. You'll be provided with instructions on what to draft a page of content on, and we're asking the LLM to follow the instructions carefully. if needed, you can also give examples to the LLM in the system prompt where you can give it an example of the page, example of a well-written page that you want it to follow, example of structure, example of certain things to include, and everything can be put in the system prompt variable. Okay, so the next thing we want is the input for the instructions. Get that in here as well. Gonna change this to content gen and name the button generate a page of content. So we have the instructions input set up right here. Now we're going to add the user prompt. Let's see. So then what we're doing is we're taking the input as the instructions. So another thing we're trying here is trying to understand the process the LLM follows to generate a page of content, and we'll be able to see the steps it has taken in this generation as well. We're asking to think step by step in this XML tag about what a well-structured page of content would be based on the instructions we've given, and then it would provide the page right here. So another thing with these LLMs is that sometimes when you ask it to generate a lot, you might be waiting for a bit. And it might just be helpful to add a message that says, oh, it's actually running and it's not just stuck in an error state. I'm just gonna use the coachbot.write API method to just show a message right there that, oh, analyzing instructions and working on generating page, just a few minutes. So now what we do is we send the API request to the user prompt. Set up reading this, so we already have it up there. And replace the API call. You can see here I'm setting stream to false because I don't want the output that the system gives in the coachbot window right there. I actually want it to be pasted on a page so I can actually see it. And this is where the add page API method will come in and help us. I'm just going to get and copy paste that in here. So then this gives it a title, tells it it's a page, gives it that it has to be one panel, and then takes the result that we get from here and puts it in the content area. And we're just putting a try catch block here just in case there is an error that we can catch, and that's it. 5 steps, and you have a simple content draft generation example ready. And we're going to commit changes here, updated index.js with extension code and prompts. Now, like I said, we wanted this available just for us. We want it to be instructor facing. So in user type, instead of all, I'm going to write instructor, commit, updated user type, metadata.json, commit. So all the changes we need to make are done are right here. Actually, we might just make one more. That's the content gen. Okay. So now let's just follow a couple more steps and add this and deploy it to our account. So for that, you need to go to releases in here and click on create a new release. We're going to choose the tag, so we're just going to call it v1. Give it first version of content gen, so we can keep track of any changes we make to it. And that's it. So now we have the release made. So click on this. I'm going to go back to my extension settings. I can reset this. And again, we want this at the user level. So I'm at the user level over here. And I'm going to the old one I need. If we want add, add extension, and there you go. Now I can put use, enable it, and any project or any course that I have that may even not be in any orgs, I will have my um, content genesis available so that I can use it. So let's say I'm in the printing in C++, um, and let's try and see how we can use it. Just add a new page. Okay, so we have the cout command, the new line character, and a single line and multi-line comment. So these are the things that are in this assignment right now. Let's say I actually want to go a step ahead and I want my students to even learn about in this assignment. I'm just going to put on CoachBot, generate a page of content, give me a page on using cin for standard input in C++. Okay. Analyzing instructions and working on generating the page. And you're going to see the page appear right here. There you go. Added a new page of content. So we click on generated page. And so, like I said, you'll be able to see the scratchpad tag, right? So this is the process that it's following. And that is what I wanted to show you, that we can see the process it follows. And if there's something in here that you would like to change, you can add this to your system prompt and make sure it follows the style, the structure, the guidelines that you set for it. And then this is the markdown formatted page on cin for standard input in C++ with code snippets, basic syntax, examples, pitfalls and best practices, complex example. So there it is. We've quickly seen a learner facing assistant that was plug and play, where we saw where we were able to ask questions about the course. We did a custom error explanation at the org level, which was authored from scratch with provided possible fixes and solutions in a different language if we wanted it, and we could tailor it to be exactly what we wanted. We also saw an instructor-facing assistant where we built our simple content, custom content draft generation assistant that was available only to us at the user level, so we can use it as our own personal assistant. Now, you might be thinking, oh, I did not get the choice to use my own model, and I would prefer to use an open source model if possible. Like, would I be able to do that? The answer is absolutely. Very soon, we're adding more functionality to the Coach API that we saw. It will let you integrate with our LLM budgeting proxy to manage your LLM API keys from leading commercial providers and VLLM for any open source models. I'll also create more examples that'll be available in github.com/Codio extensions. So the documentation and examples of how you'll be able to do it will be there as well. So stay tuned for that, and we'll update you on that shortly. The other question is, like I said, what if you have an idea? What if you want to do something very specific, but you're not sure how to begin? Like I said, this is new to us too, and we'd be more than happy to help you bring your ideas to life. So just reach out to me or any of us with any questions or even a rough idea for what you'd like to build, and we'll help you get started. We'll even help you prototype it and deploy it in your organization. And again, you can refer to the examples that we created today and the templates we have for inspiration, and just email us and we can take it from there. Like I understand this was a very dense dump of information, and I am ready for any questions you have for me. Okay, I see a question. Is the only option to use JS files, or can I configure any of this in Python? So Ed, as of now, everything will be done in that index.js file. If you have a Python version of it, I can actually help you convert it to JavaScript, and I can help you deploy it for sure. So I want to make sure that this is as less of a burden on you as possible. So if you have something working in Python, we'd be more than happy to help you prototype it and deploy it in JavaScript. But thank you for the question. Is it easy? Oh, I have another question here. Is it easy to generate an assessment, say, with input/output tests? Let me actually show it live in here. And I can show you an example of the standard code test generation that we released just recently. So let's say you're in edit mode and you want to add a code test in here. I'm going to go, click on standard code test, and we have the generate flag here. So by default, the assessment generation takes everything on the page as context to give you an assessment on it. But you can even provide specific instructions in here and that can tailor it based on that. Again, this needs a instructor in the loop or subject matter expertise to review and approve it, because LLMs again are something that are designed to want to be super helpful to you. And there will be cases where it may be a little off in either like providing a solution, maybe a little off in either providing a correct test case, but it will definitely make things very easy for you. I'm just gonna click, I'm not gonna provide any instructions. I'm just gonna let it take the content on the page and try to give me a input-output code test. Let's see. And right here, we'll be able to preview it before we approve it. And even when we approve it, it just fills up all the fields in a standard code test that are required in the create one. And the way we built this is there's three pieces to it. Like the first part is where the actual question is generated. You can see it here. So it's asking to create a program that its average student test score. Provide solution here, so you can see the input output test cases and things like it. And once you're happy with something, and these are the files it creates. So this is the solution file. And like you can see, it's going to hide the solution from the student. So this is where you can review things. And if you want to change anything, you can provide things in this text field. You update, let's say, give me a very simple question. And while you're in this generation session, you'll have access to any of the outputs that were in here. So you can toggle between previous and current ones and approve the ones that you want. So in the regeneration field, along with the page, it also takes the assessment it gave you before to try to apply the changes or apply the requirements that you specified on it. So yes, like you can just click on it and it's going to be simple. Okay. So here, it's about writing a program that reads an integer from the user and then prints a message saying this is what they've entered. So if the user enters 42, the output should be enter 42. And let's just look at, so it looks at input arguments and even provides feedback in here as well for any of the test cases. Even looks at large numbers, large negative numbers, and provides a solution right here. You can click on approve, and you can see the question and markdown format is here. The script that executes the file is here. Your input arguments, expected output, and even the customer feedback is all filled out. And even a rationale with the correct solution is given to students right here. And you can just click create, preview. There you go, a standard code test with generated by AI. I hope I was able to answer your question. But no, thank you. We'll wait on like, is there any more questions? But again, for custom assistance, I would really, really appreciate it if there's anyone who has any ideas what they want to try. Again, more than happy to help you prototype it and you'll be able to use your own like tailored custom assistants in class. Like on the other hand, we're also working on a research study that tests the efficacy of custom assistants in large online classes. And as soon as we have that study completed, we will publish it, and we'd appreciate your feedback. I'm just gonna wait like another minute. If there are any questions, if you don't have any questions right now, please feel free to email us at any point. We'd love to hear your thoughts. We'd love to hear your feedback on these features. And again, if you have any ideas, open to hearing them as well.